Welcome to our weekly roundup of key business developments in Sri Lanka. I'm Nishani Pigera, and here are this week's main stories. $2 billion from ADB. Sri Lanka-India ETCA talks to conclude by March. Exports fall to a 5-month low. In our top story this week, Sri Lanka is likely to receive around $2 billion from the ADB, according to its country director Takafumi Kodono. The funds, which are mainly for budgetary support, are to be disbursed over 4 years. Out of the $2 billion, around $500 to $600 million is planned for the next year, after the International Monetary Fund releases a second tranche and is subjected to attainment, satisfying the policy actions. Kodono added that most of the funding will be in the form of policy-based loans and project lending. $200 million is earmarked for power sector reforms and $100 million is allocated for the water sector. On the 12th of December, the IMF is to decide whether to approve the second tranche of around $330 million under its extended fund facility to Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka ISB holders raised concerns on the lack of transparency between public and private creditors. The group represents creditors holding around $12 billion worth of outstanding ISBs, accounting for 34% of external debt. According to Bandula Gunawardene, a cabinet spokesperson, technical talks on the Sri Lanka-India Economic and Technical Cooperation Agreement will be completed by March 2024. The next round of talks are to take place in January. So far, 12 rounds of discussions have been held. The agreement is in line with the government's objective of integrating with the largest economies in Asia and East Asia, export diversification, and connecting with key players through the global value chain. Merchandise exports in October declined to $898 million, down from around 15% from a year earlier. Exports have been falling since August due to a slowdown in Sri Lanka's main global markets and regional conflicts. Exports during January to October are now about 10% lower from the same period last year. In the month, apparel exports fell 20.1% to $354 million, while tea and coconut also decreased significantly. Exports to the US, Sri Lanka's single largest export destination, was down almost 14% from a year earlier. On a positive note, services exports from January to October reached $2.6 billion, an increase of 67.2% from a year ago. According to the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, Sri Lanka Ports Authority aims to complete construction of the East Container Terminal by the first half of 2024. The jetty will be 1,400 meters long, allowing 3 mega ships to berth simultaneously. The SLPA has allocated $585 million for the project. In our weekly tourism update, tourist arrivals for the month of November reached 151,496, pushing the yearly total to almost 1.3 million. Average daily arrivals surged to over 5,000, significantly higher than the 3,500 recorded a month earlier. The primary source market in the month continues to be India, followed by Russia and Germany. However, arrivals fell short of SLTDA's monthly target of 204,000 visitors. In flight news, Air Astana launched 4 weekly charter flights between Kazakhstan and Sri Lanka. This is another series of charter flights coming into Sri Lanka during the busy winter season. And now let's take a look at the weekly movement of the All-Share Price Index and the S&P SL 20 Index at the Colombo Stock Exchange. At the Treasury bill auction held on Wednesday, yields on all maturities contracted. Bids amounting to 305 billion rupees were received, of which 185 billion were accepted. The Sri Lankan rupee was steady against the dollar this week, with the central bank's indicative mid-spot rate ranging around 327 to 328 rupees. And with that, we wind up for this week. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel at the link below for regular updates on economic and business news in Sri Lanka. Until we see you again next week, thank you for watching. Stay safe.